So our last segment ended looking at product involvement, the first of the three types of consumer involvement. And now we're picking up with message involvement and then situational involvement with this segment. And there are a number of very interesting factors that can affect message involvement. In other words, how much interest is drawn to the advertisement. Okay. The first one is novel stimuli. Ads that include unique, surprising stimuli certainly draw our attention. Now, there's a name I want you to learn now, an important one. You only need to learn the last name, Levinson, but J. Conrad Levinson promoted the idea of guerrilla marketing in the 1980s. And this is a novel, unconventional form of advertising. So just like guerrilla warfare is unconventional means of war, hey, this is unconventional means of advertising. And Levinson originally proposed this for small companies as a way to compete with larger ones that had larger marketing budgets. So money can buy attention with special effects, fancy ad stimuli, and so on, expensive celebrity endorsers, so on and so on. But so can creativity. And so this began as a way that smaller companies could compete with larger companies. Now, unfortunately, guerrilla marketing is no longer such an advantage for small companies because it was proven so very effective that many large companies jumped on the bandwagon and they've put their marketing people on it. But this is still a very fun part of the class to see this kind of creativity. So from now on, at the end of each of our major lectures, we're going to show an example of guerrilla advertising. Okay. This here is one of my favorites, free air guitars. Ads that also include prominent stimuli can really increase message involvement. In other words, extreme stimuli. It could be bright colors or loud noises, etc. Okay, here's an example where they used color very prominently. And sometimes it's not just things like color or the noise, those types of basic senses. Okay? Ads at times include fear appeals as prominent stimuli. And this is really a careful line to tread, though. It must be done well. And a psychological researcher named Kumpf found that fear appeals tend to be effective, but in order to be effective, they must meet two criteria. Otherwise, they can and oftentimes will backfire, actually reduce sales in consumer psychology venue. So what are those two criteria they must meet? One of them is that the message cannot be too fearful. So low to moderate works best. If you're looking in that moderate category, the low to moderate, okay, not too low, but certainly not higher moderate, not high. Okay, so moderate being best. And they must be accompanied with recommended action. And that action must be doable, not too difficult. You know, it's got to be something that appears to be fairly easy. Now, when we look at consumer psychology in particular, you know, it's like giving an easy solution, buying our product will alleviate this fear, right? So I'm playing for you one of my favorite examples here in video form. Here we go.
I'm a random windstorm. Shaky. Shaky, shaky, shaky. Shaky, shaky. And if you got cut rate insurance, you could be picking up this tab yourself. So get Allstate. You could save some cash and be better protected from mayhem like me.
Mayhem is everywhere, so get an Allstate agent. Are you in good hands?
You know, they do a really nice job with this. Allstate did, their marketing team with this ad. If you look closely at the criteria, you know, they keep it to a moderate level, even that low dash moderate within the moderate category of risk. And they even combine humor with it, which helps to keep it moderate, right? That could be made a high risk ad if it didn't have humor in it. And you know, they accompany it with that really easy recommendation. Hey, we'll take care of this. Don't worry, just get our insurance. You won't have to worry about this anymore. Easy solution. Okay, so remember that fear appeals, you know, are part, one possibility when we talk about prominent stimuli. Okay. Okay, so novel stimuli, we talked about prominent stimuli. Celebrity endorsements tend to increase message involvement, draw your attention. Nike is, you know, well known for associating their shoes with famous athletes, such as Tiger Woods. Okay, goofy picture that was messed with in paint, but you get the idea here. So next we have a novel platform, and this one is really interesting. A media platform is a venue for advertising. So creating a novel media platform can really increase message involvement. When they say creating a novel media platform, it's usually just finding one that already exists, but using it for this very creative reason of advertising. So do you remember the very first time that you saw an advertisement on a park bench, right? Pretty cool. Or, but, you know, a bench where people are waiting for a bus. This is an example that combines the new media platform of a park bench with a novel stimulus. So it's taking two of those that's working for them to draw attention. It certainly draws my attention. What about, you know, urinals are a pretty novel platform. Is this a good or a bad idea? Okay. It's a good idea as far as you've got a really captive audience, so they'll usually read your ad. But is it worth the association? You really have to think about what category of products that you're advertising, because there are certain categories you would not want associated with a urinal, such as food items, right? Okay. Novel platforms, what about bodies, right? You know, do you remember when the first ad came out on eBay when someone offered her forehead as a platform? Now, when this is done, this is not these wash off this tattoo at nighttime. These are temporary tattoos, but they're long term. They last for more like a month before they start to fade. So, as you can imagine, this idea is really spread, though, to other body parts that I am not going to picture, such as cleavage. Now, when a promotion itself offers value, this can really increase message involvement. And in order to promote their toilet paper, as an example, Charmin sponsored, in other words, it paid for, porta potties in Times Square, for which people were really, really grateful. Also, Charmin created a website app that is called sitorsquat.com. So it's an app or a website, whichever you download or use. And it shows your closest restroom, public restroom from where you are. And they took advantage of a really relevant situation in order to provide value. Well, also, inside and outside of the booths, they are constantly bombarding you with Charmin advertising. Okay. Likewise, when a promotion offers entertainment, such as sponsoring an attractive concert, okay, this can increase message involvement. It also provides a lot of advertising opportunities during the concert, like print messages and or logos that are plastered all over the stage design, commercials and that are done during half times, and promotional giveaways during intermissions, in addition to creating an association between the product and the positive entertainment. So a number of different message involvement factors that can affect how much attention people pay to that. But then we also finally are going to end up here with these situational involvement factors. Just a couple of them, but really interesting. Personalization is targeting your audience for relevance, and it can be highly effective at increasing situational involvement. Some digital billboards now have facial recognition software that read the age range of your face when you walk by, and then they personally target you with ads that are relevant to your age group. Pandora so does a great job with personalization by using your choices along with similar others to recommend music to you. And sometimes marketers get high situational involvement by actually creating a relevant situation. Some examples of that would be turning up the heat in a movie theater in order to sell more Coke. What about selling rain slickers on Niagara Falls tour boats? Okay? Or giving out free pretzels at a bar to create thirst, creating a relevant situation.